Are you intentional when you do that? Okay. Are you intentional? This is where pro sport meets pro business. You do not become a professional anything without being much more in control of the mindset that you choose. And this is where we want to go. So good job on past negative. Let's move. This is fun. So I'm going to get out of your way here. So the bottom right is a new piece of language. Please circle it or write it in. Future negative thinking. So describe that for me. What is future negative thinking? Fire away.
Anxiety.
Love it. Totally.
Fear.
Yes.
Mistrust.
I like that. Mistrust. Love that. Couple more.
Unknown.
Unknown. Yes. We're looking at a future. We have no idea. Oh, and you know, that's a great point. We could put in the word uncertainty. Have you heard that a little bit over COVID? Uncertainty. What other words sort of hit home here?
Something I say all the time is that anticipation causes hesitation, right? I think that's a big piece.
It's very good. It's very good. Would we agree? And this is where I don't want to get into a pessimist because I don't want to personalize this. We are all of these things in a point in time, agreed? Have you ever had a past negative thought or a future negative thought? That doesn't make you a pessimist, but pessimism can live here, okay? So future negative is fascinating, leaders. This is where NHL teams lose Stanley Cups before they play. This is where we actually lose the client before we get on the phone. This is where our teenager loses the job before they interview. Isn't that crazy? Future negative thinking is the great debilitator of high performance. Mark Twain said this. You're going to like this. I love Mark Twain. If a cat steps on a hot stove, you got that visual? That cat will never step on a hot stove again. The problem is, the cat will never step on a cold stove either. Powerful. Do you know where most of the revenue or maybe most of the creativity in our business is in the future? Probably the other side of the cold stove. But most people are not going to go there because they got burnt last time. Let me make it personal. Many people get burnt in a relationship. And what we forget often is that our next best relationship is probably on the other side of the cold stove. But we're not going to go there because we got burnt last time. That interesting? So future negative thinking, again, I'm not saying that this is 100% wrong. You know, the higher you go in your leadership capacity in our business here, actually, the more we push you into future negative thinking. You know what that's called? These are called contingency plans. Leaders have to think about what happens if the economy tanks again. Don't you have to have a plan for that? What happens if COVID-4 happens? Don't you have to have a plan for that? So future negative thinking is not wrong. But here's the word again. Please write it down or at least circle it. We want to compartmentalize our future negative thinking. This will be the hardest thing to do because I know you. I'm like you. I love looking at all the things that might go wrong. I love being nervous and anxious and fearful. But here's the question. Here's the big question I want to ask you. Does being worried 100% of the time, does that help you play your best game? That's the question, right? That's the big question. If you can play your best game and worry 100% of the time, or focus on things you hope don't happen 100% of the time, go for it. If it gives you your best game, go for it. But here's what I know about most of us human beings. We don't play our best when we're anxious. We play guarded when we're anxious, okay? So past negative thinking, future negative thinking. In a minute, we're going to name that the defensive zone. Okay, isn't that fun?
Let
So
me ask you something real quick, if you don't mind.
okay.
So I've always said that fear, I always played my best when I was, how would I put this? I always played my worst when I wasn't fearful of the other team. I went in cocky and I got burned. And so it always made me prepare.
I love it. Totally agree. A little bit of fear. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of fear, a little bit of future negative. So agree. But then you want to compartmentalize that energy, right? You can't play there.
But it made me prepare.
Agreed.
Yeah.
From a preparation point of view, sometimes a fear of losing your company allows you to do some extra work that, on a weekend where you might have spent with your family, but you got to get this done or whatever.
Mhm.
Totally get that.
Okay, cool.
But we're going to talk about in a minute is actually playing the game. We're going to call that the flow zone. And it's very hard to get into flow through fear. Okay.
So in essence, you're saying use those thoughts as a motivator, not as a discourager.
100%. 100%. Go to future negative, see what might happen wrong. And then here's the point is use that to go, okay, what are the solutions to that? And how can I play those solutions? Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And